Well, hello everyone. You here right here talk about for Falls Big Bucks, and I know that I can maybe explain a little bit more, like I talk about in 3 hours or so, at least 3 hours in detail about for a little bit more for what I'll be talking about also. But that this actually talks about right here, like I actually explain right here using some of my Photoshop work right here. I went ahead and drew right here with a pen with like a file and. For any programs that a designer that we'll be working with, if they're going to be using a variety of programs, about maybe 3 or 4 different programs, just to be able to convert them and use them in as well as for all the other typical settings to where whenever you're going to be compressing a file and creating zip files for anything related to any type of digital design work. And basically, that if you want to look at it, to where that any information that was made originally available on paper document until you scanned it and use use the programs, the number of pixels, as well as if it's going to be maybe a JPEG or maybe a TIF, TIFF or so your type file, and so you're having access to a variety of tools as well, and then as well as any other effects that you want to give to to the data also. So you have a maybe about close to maybe about 300 or 400 or so, maybe about 40.50 or so gigabytes, the maximum about how much a file would be able to hold. So you have right here already some examples right here of these files, and I used the Photoshop just to kind of show it's like if they were different files right here. So if anybody wants us to where yeah, that one of them kind of looks like it's to where if it's it could maybe be an example of maybe like an antivirus, like a file that was downloaded that installed onto your computer without your permission, and I know that that's basically like if we were to look up about antivirus programs, they say that sometimes that you have some files that are downloaded while you were working on something, and so that's why you have to have antivirus protection just to be able to protect your system as well. But you see right here, let's talk about for the big bucks, and one of the reasons why I want to do this activity right here of talking about is to where that yeah, that any type of designer that you're going to be working with data that's saved on files. And for a lot of things that are going electronically, if it's going to be electronic signature though, if for like digital design, and that I don't know if it's promised all the time as to where if anybody say that, I guess we can just look at it as to where that anything that you're doing is to where that information, any files of information that is being kept stored into files, and these could include like electronic files. And we may think that nobody's really going to pay us for that. Maybe like a yearly allowance, or maybe like a weekly or a monthly allowance or some sort. But let's just say that the case is to where if we could get paid just to make sure that this information is kept safe and secure. It could maybe be our tax files, or it could be any other source of important files that need to be safe and secure and stored as well. And anybody wanted to it really, I'm like, who's really going to pay us, just to do that type of stuff? And think about it nowadays with the tax files that, especially that is somebody that may say is to where I'm going to, counting on you just to be able to get the job done, and think is toward it, yeah, that a lot of things that maybe I may be quite used to, and you maybe weren't, or maybe if you're a parent or somebody that that you may work with, or somebody that you may talk to at maybe that you may meet them maybe at the store somewhere, and they you talk to a little about what you do, and some of them that may say that they don't know, oh, we don't have no idea what that means, or we don't know how that works, and so that's just a thing that that if anybody warrants us toward it, yeah, anything maybe a digital designer that more likely does is that any source of information is toward if you're willing to the work which I know I have gotten quite a bit of practice with my own source of data. A lot of the work that I got to do here at home, and plus other things that I do relate to taxes, and as well as anything for like disability papers or medical papers or anything like that, that I would keep them in like a place of backup files too, that some of them are saved on PDF file, and anybody wanted to, or yeah, like PDF file, Adobe Acrobat, where you can actually compress and convert them if you have files that were what you call created it using another program, that how to open them, and it may about how to convert them to another type of file format. So you have right there for Acrobat. So these files right here could mean a number of meanings, and I guess we can maybe think as to where that that you wanted your own file cabinet whenever you were about maybe 11 years old, and then thinking about as to where that you want to have access to your own folders at your own personal computer, especially. And I include right here this 4 a.m. to where if anybody say, yeah, if you want to have like a time in particular to where as a goal set time, or maybe if you want to pick like a favorite time that they say 4 a.m. At least by midnight, I like to have a number of things done between the 3 hours, 3 or 4 hours or so. So let's just say that if we start working at this, if it was maybe like an activity, if anybody were wanting to where that you start working on something around 8 or 9 o'clock at night. Yeah, if you're going to be going through some old papers and files, and we may not think that it's going to take about maybe 30 minutes to maybe a couple of hours, 2 or 3 hours, just to be able to go through all the files and pick out for what we think that we still need and if it's important. And with most of the files, I'm sure quite a few of them are important. And anybody say that maybe not even on your own personal computer. It could be maybe like an online account if it's going to be what you call from the office online. Any type of a SkyDrive, or any online storage that you may have, but maybe on the Adobe Creative Cloud, that you would have files that were saved on there. They've been saved on there for quite a while, and if you still need them or not, or if you decide to go back and do some editing with those. So these files right here could be examples of what you call anything that was there, that was created from about a year ago. You want to go back and do editing, or if you want to do anything else with them, and just think about it as to where if anybody say that anything about what we call the big bucks, and the big bucks could more likely mean is to where that for anybody who's willing to pay you a decent amount of money within the time or so, to where willing to do some work for them, or maybe that they provide information for you and they ask you to please to keep it safe and secure, or this is what we want you to do with this information. So anybody who don't know too much about all this stuff, and then they maybe want to talk to somebody who has, we say, the degree and then the license, just to be able to have just to have gain access to the information, just to be able to perform the job. So it seems like to where that, like with anybody, that you get a lot of practice at home, and think about if you're going to make this into a career, and think about how many people are going to really ask you, Roy, just to be able to put something like that together, and think about for anything about the big bucks. And it may not be always fun either if anybody weren't, or that somebody that they ask you to go ahead and give them make them a copy. If you can go ahead and burn a CD for them, or like make a copy on a flash card, or maybe a CD, readable CDR disc or something like that. If you had the right hard drive, can you convert this? Somebody that may ask you can you convert these paper documents to an electronic document on file, and then have them burnt equal to a CD, and to like a DVD to a CDR. And I know with most devices, I know nowadays that nowadays with the technology that you can get nowadays, is to where that you would have like a memory stick or any type of a flash drive. So if anybody asks as to where that, like any type of backup disk. So there may be some people out there, they may ask you, somebody like me, if you know how to do this, or if you like that they know you very well in your work, and then they ask you to do something like that. And sometimes it seems like to me is to where that, a lot of times, back when I was young, that if you were talking to somebody that was a friend of your parents, the mom or the dad, or aunt or uncle, or anybody that you're talking to, and they may ask as to where that that they don't know, they don't understand that this program very well, but we know that you do, and for that degree in digital design that you have. So if anybody weren't, or that you've talked to people and they don't know too much about this digital designing work, and And I can maybe say is to where the first thing I can more likely was introduced to, the very first thing more likely was important of the files as well as working the tools. Having access to the variety of tools, not just what you call the files, knowing about, okay, who's this or who's that, mainly the tools. And if anybody warns us to where, yeah, the tools, that a variety of tools, and with these tools that it's going to maybe be like the pencil, or if it's the pen or the shade tool or gradient tool. So you're going to have a selection of about at least maybe over 57 tools altogether, including the color swatches. So you have the program like Illustrator and Photoshop, where you have access to these tools and maybe other settings and other effects as well. And so that's why that the whole purpose about digital, though, that you basically it's the work that you're doing, especially that you're like Warren, to where, hey, that the work that you're doing, especially that you're basically you're converting the work into what you call digital, to where it's available electronically. It's not available in, like, say, any source of paper documentation or anything like that. So you have it to where that with, like, for digital, though, that with it, talk about, for the big bucks, that if you're going to have programs that, like anybody say, that what about pop-ups or anything like that, but still that if you're going to have it to where that talk about for, like, the big bucks, that that anything about the tools, and as well as for how to convert, and it's like anything for, yeah, that a few examples that I know that maybe I'll be thinking about too, is toward it, like the live color. I know that was a tool, like that was like something that on Illustrator, if I could figure out how it works more, I can show anybody here, but where I would actually import one of my drawings and actually use the pen tool and actually work the live color tool, to where I can actually use, like, the paint bucket. I can show some more different colors and other effects to it as well. So for any source of digital designing work, or if it's web designing or any other type of 3D animation, telling anybody here, for me being a designer, that with this digital stuff, I can it can maybe keep me busy. I'm like, if I had the time to do it, I can maybe keep busy with it maybe for about 30 days. I could be on there for maybe a month. Maybe I could be on there for a month, and possibly that, yeah, I can lose track of time too. If anybody warns us to where, yeah, that if you're going to be spending a couple of hours on it, and then by the time it's like, hey, you need to get some, well, it's lunchtime, or if it's dinner time, or lunchtime, dinner time, or breakfast time, and so it's like you're like wiring toward it, that you having that ability to where you can have control over for what you want to do. And that's the thing too, is to where this was right here was any type of a work desk, is that if anybody wanted to, like anything about what you call the jobs binder, that you need type of electronic binder, that I a few times that I'm like, having access to this information right here, and especially if it's not really the information that's your own, and if somebody asks you to keep that information stored, and let's just say that your files of information that somebody may ask you is to, or can you make a copy for me on a flash drive, or can you do some editing for me? And this editing would be is to open up a program, and they may not know too much about the tools, but any tools that they describe to you about what they want to have done, and then it's like, well, I think I know what tools used to be able to do that, perform that source of work. So that's just the thing, though, is to where having access to the tools and be able to work that variety of settings, like the gradient tool, and as well as the library. So you have these different the parents right here, including the line tool. So especially like Illustrator, I can maybe spend like that I can maybe be on like being like for anybody that may want to, where you're working something and you jump from one thing to another, that an idea that comes to your mind, and you want to go ahead and start a new project after something comes to your mind. So like altogether today, that I had already posted up about three other projects, and so sometimes that the ideas and projects just kind of come all of a sudden to where that there's an idea and you want to start a new project. But compared to like Dreamweaver, to where that whenever you're starting a new project, that they want us like to be able to create a new link, it's like a web link, for that way you'll be broadcast live on the World Wide Web. But talk about for Falls Big Bucks is that any information that it's kept about you is especially that anything that's related to just you in person, that if it's about the taxes or if it's about anything related to any other source of important information, that do we kind of call that a job, or do we call that just a chore? I'm like, if we want to look at it just like cleaning the windows, and if anybody wanted to where that, what do you call that type of window to where, digital window is to where that there's like a type of cleaning fluid that's used for that, and spray cleaning fluid. But I'm like, well, really, that there may be a type of cleaning appliance that you can maybe use on a program. But I keep thinking, I'm like, really, if that's more likely maybe Adobe Bridge, or if it's a other type of program that's used as well, just to do like the type of cleaning, spring cleaning. But you have right here talking for Falls Big Bucks, and if anybody here that may warrant to where that that there's whenever class is over with, if you want to know something that maybe something that you want to do, just to keep you busy for a couple of hours, other than solving puzzles, that open up a few files, and even though assignments that have been completed for a long time, that you can look in there, and then that there maybe it looks like that there was like what you call a file that was not updated correctly, or if it was, but then it was just saved on a separate file. So there may be some things that you may want to add more to it too. So if anybody say that really are people looking at which say is to where, oh, files, well, have files ever expired? And you're like, warrant, where you may only work these files just what you call it was maybe during tax season, or if it was anything related to class, or if it was anything that was related to anything that you were specifically what you were doing on the computer as well. If it's a Mac that you're using, any other situation goes by, and you're like, warrant, where if you can go back and edit the project, or maybe use it for something else, or maybe if you may have a recommendation, you think that you want to go ahead and do work something else with it, and it's like, say, hey, this project right here, it's been done for a long, it's the final has already been posted, but this is like a little add-on that I'm working with right here. So if anybody will warrant toward it, whenever you're going to be opening up a program, and the project that you're going to be working with is going to be containing files that were created using other programs. So basically, if we want to look at it as to where that it's like a shopping cart. If we want to look at it like kind of like a shopping cart, it's a cart. It's a cart to where it's going to contain a few pieces, and with these, if you want to call it like maybe like a package, I think another word I want to describe it to, like a package to where that the package has already been we say filled. It's the package already contains a numbers of source of information and data, but then it's ready to be what you call posted, like updated on a website, or that anything about it, to where if you're going to be talking to anybody maybe at the tax office, and you have your information already ready, and you just got to log on and please complete the forms. It's online, so I'm sure most of us know those details as to where you have the information on file, but it just has to be maybe you may have to open up another program just to be able to view that file, if it's going to be maybe a PDF file or some file like that, making sure that pop-up blocker is off as well. So you have what you call these number of ways of how we want to manage our files. And I know with me, though, that being like on a television set, that I kept thinking about is to where that, being on a television set, and you're going to be, if there was only about 4 or channels that you were watching, and thinking about is to where that, having your own ability to where you can get things done with. And sometimes I kept thinking about is toward it, yeah, that any of your schoolwork, especially in the back, in your book bag, and like book bag or backpack, that you have class work that's in the backpack that contains all the, including your study materials. So you're going to have, for about 4 or 5 different classes, even whenever you were in the 5th grade, that you had, class work, from science and social studies as well as English, and they ask you, to keep it organized, and assignments that need to be completed, that type of stuff, etc., etc. And then it goes by toward, yeah, that trying to keep everything updated too. We thought, this right here will be example right here of about, see 4, 5, 6, altogether about 6 files right here. So let's just say that if we were to be opening up maybe like a storage, cloud, like Adobe Creative Cloud or any other program, and let's just say in that file in your own personal computer, that there could be about maybe 250 files altogether. So 250 files to a lot of us seems like a lot of them, and some of them are what you call outdated from back and maybe as early as 2014. Some of them that you may have reserved spots to, where that's for the next year. Those are files that you're getting prepared to create, for next year. So whenever we think about this, is that some of us that may only do it maybe 3 times a year. Some of us that may do it maybe about 120 times a year at the most, depending on what it is. And if it's taxes, or if it's, you say, maybe taking care of the bills, or if it's anything related to like what you call as to where anything in particular, such as updates for phone calls or anything like that. So that's just a thing about us, to where if anybody will warrant to where that, anything about which says, so you pay the big bucks as well. But you have right here for 4 a.m. right here, for digital. But other than that, I talk about here for files for big bucks. It's like may not be guaranteed, but just to keep in mind, is there anything that you think that maybe it's going to pay the big bucks? It's like for keeping the files safe and secure, about how to manage it. But other than that, talk about for digital design, May 25. And thanks for watching. Have a great day.